everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you are listening to the Story Podcast, and this is our first ever album review, a show where we review an album submitted to us by a local Central PA musician. And today with me, I have on Mr. Anthony Pericini. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Can you give a little introduction to who you are?
Absolutely. My name's Anthony Piericini. I play as a professional guitar player for various bands in the area, and I also play in pit musician positions at Dutch Chapel and other theaters. I also release original music under AP3, a jazz funk fusion group that I play in, and then also my own group, Tony Wayne, which is a rock fusion group.
And he's also been featured on this podcast as episode 81.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, that was a really fun episode.
Yeah, so please be sure to check that out. Today, we are reviewing Rascal Revival's EP, Passing Time Around. Rascal Revival is a 6-piece band including RJ Conrad on vocals / acoustic guitar, Jake Joyce on electric guitar, Henry Devorick on bass, Jeff Fuhrman on drums, and Eric DeAlmeida on saxophone, and Caleb Stelle on violin. This is their debut album released in 2021. This EP was to share their new sounds as a 6-piece band. They had grown to a 6-piece band in the fall of 2019 and were set to record at Rockmill Studios in the spring of 2020. But we all know how that went.
Mm-hmm.
So even though RJ wanted to record live, they ended up tracking the songs in April 2021. The goal had always been to let the music lead without any intention of genre. An example of that would be the long intro on Point of View. Rascal Revival's own lead guitarist Jake Joyce did the production, and they had Logan at Rockmill Studios do the mastering. It is worth noting that Rascal Revival's goal is to be known as a great live band. That's where the magic of music really happens, and this EP is to show just how diverse their sound can be. All of these songs were written after the band became a 6-piece, and because they were previously a little bit folkier as a trio prior to that. It is also worth noting that I've also had half of this band on the podcast before. Go check out RJ's episodes 21 and 72, Henry Devorick's episode number 2, and Caleb Stelle's episode 85. Now on to the review. The Passing Time Around is a 5-song, 19-minute EP starting with For the World. RJ says, although there are many reasons to weep for the world, if we look hard enough, we will find hope. With that said, this is For the World.
The day, some clouding by the doubt. There's a flood of hate, love is in a drought. There's people being poisoned each and every day. Fingers being pointed all each and every way. But I'll weep for the world, I'll weep for you and me. Now weep for the world, is this how it's supposed to be? No, no, I don't think so. No, no. Despite all of this, there's hope for us, you see. We can come together and for the world find peace.
And that was For the World. What a really good song, and lyrically very apt for the times we've been living in currently with the politics he's talking about in the song with left and right being we have the lyrics here One of them that really stuck out to me, the left and right, they're both wrong. You know that's the truth. And they create the problems and blame it on the youth. Distract and divide, lather, rinse, repeat. Add a little pinch of fear and watch it as they eat it up. If that hasn't been the past few years or so,
Yeah, man.
I don't know what is.
Yeah.
In terms of politics and the fear mongering and the media and everyone their divide and conquer strategy to just make us hate each other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's yeah, I got a very as far as like lyrics go and like song content, it's a very like Bob Dylan-esque thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's that protest and social statement kind of thing, and yeah, it's really cool. I think that really drives music forward. I think earlier, unrelated to this, but kind of related to this, we were talking about music that doesn't really have a point, but this you can tell it has a point. Like, you know, he has a statement, he has something he wants to say, and that kind of helps drive the song forward, which is nice.
Exactly, and it's done in such an interesting way. I've never heard a protest song quite like this. I mean, we all know the protest songs, you know, "Fortunate Son" or stuff like that. It's really it's driving a point home, but to do it in such a funky, interesting, weird instrumental way.
Definitely,
really
yeah.
cool.
Well, and I think lyrically also he's like telling a story.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
just like obviously I like Rage Against the Machine,
Right.
and like their songs are very like they also can tell a story in certain songs, and some of the songs are a bit more vague, but also like with this I feel like there's a story driving it forward and like a lot of points that, you know, he's bringing up, and yeah, definitely really cool. Musically, there's a lot of really awesome stuff going on. So I'm a big fan of musical contrast. As someone who kind of listens more to instrumental music than music with lyrics, I love music with lyrics. But like a lot of times, I find music with lyrics to not really have a point. This does, yeah. Anyways, as far as music goes, the intro was very contrasting to the actual song,
Yes.
and I thought that was really interesting. Like this song did a good job of contrast, you know, having sections and things, and I really think it helps that there was a few measures of the groove in between those. I'm gonna call them the post-chorus, or maybe they were the chorus, but that kind of chromatic or different keywords like da da da. Yeah. So before you just started singing right away, it was like, okay, let's get back into the groove of things, because that was pretty like you know, you're taking the listener and you're like, hey, we're gonna go over here. So good that you gave the listener a minute to kind of get back in the vibe. For all of these songs, texture is so cool. The use of horns, the use of multi-layered guitars, the mix overall is very well done. So you can hear all these intricate little lines like Caleb, you know, hitting a little violin line and stuff. And also flute, all caps. I love flute. I love flute in music. I think it should be used in music more. So Eric, play more flute.
Yeah, great.
No, it's awesome. I just love the flute in the song, and the bari sax is awesome too. So.
It was a great contrast in the beginning. It seemed like way different of a song than what it would be, and then the kick drum it comes in and it kind of adds to the lyrics a little bit. Some see it clear as day, some are clouded by the doubt. You know, it's talking about all of these people who are quote unquote, you know, plugged into the matrix or versus not plugged into the matrix.
Sure, yeah.
In some way or some form. And just saying, listen, we know that there's problems here.
Yeah.
But hey, we can come together and solve this if we
definitely
push it all away.
You could also consider the beginning to be like the piece, like a lot of people I think find themselves at peace despite how turmoiled everything is, and you know, the song kicking in with the funk groove is like Rascal Revival kind of kicking down the door like, hey everybody, you know, pay attention, wake up, like it's read and learn and do things to, you know, better society.
and well, not only that, but there you can also interpret it as, okay, the person that is, you know, asleep, quote unquote, or just, you know, living their life thinking everything is hunky dory, and then someone kicking down the door and be like, actually, this is all these things going on wrong around here, and we gotta solve this and make sure that, you know, we for the world, you know, is this how it's supposed to be? No, we don't think so. And not to go off a Twisted Sister, but we're not gonna take it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, that was in Rock of Ages. That was the song where the protesters were like, "We're not,
Yeah, exactly.
don't tear down our town." But it's yeah, definitely a lot of that. And I mean, really, I think the magic of music is that you can kind of take it and besides the lyrics obviously giving a very clear statement, you can also view like certain aspects of it, like that intro, to be different things, which is so cool. Like already we've come up with like 4 different potential, like, oh, it could be this and it could be that,
Right.
and just really awesome. That kind of stuff is really magical. So cool.
Well, we'll get into ranking the what songs we think are best at the end. Next up, we have Soon. This song is a true story of a near miss on RJ's motorcycle. Ooh. So, with that in mind, take a listen.
Bright and slightly cloudy day, perfect for a ride. Hopped on my motorcycle and hit the countryside. About 4 miles down the road, an intersection, hill and curve, where I let off the gas and lean into the turn. But as I approached the crest of this familiar hill, an old man turned in front of me and time nearly stood still.
That was Soon, dude. What a track that is.
Definitely.
Definitely with the context of that being a near miss on his motorcycle, definitely gives some context. But I'm really think that you could take it like in the previous song, you could take this a multitude of different ways.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Especially I want to take a look at that chorus, because that chorus is insane. Now, the way I look at this ain't the way I look at that. I mean, that's just true for like kind of everything. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their nuances. No matter what happens next may never last. What a line that is.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's like a line like, this too shall pass. That's like on that level.
Yeah, definitely.
No matter what happens next may never last. Oh, take a look at this. Take a look at that.
Yep.
Just continuing on. No matter what happens soon will soon be in the past.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
whoa, yeah. That's what a way to what a call to action for those who are maybe worrying about what's coming next, or people who are worried about the past, or worried about the future, or worried even about the present. Mm-hmm. What a call to action to say, okay, listen. Things are happening, and whatever happens next is going to happen, and it's going to happen fast, and it's going to. And what a reminder to not only make a call to action to make decisions, but also a reminder to stay in the moment as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Not take life for granted. Like, you definitely gotta, yeah. Lyrically, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff going on. Yeah,
right, and I just want to say that the story is very well told, and very much you could make a metaphor or a analogy out of any of this stuff. Where you're being stuck between a rock and a hard place, quite not metal, as it were, 2 hunks of metal, and you're flying on your motorcycle at the seat of your pants, quite literally.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
There are so many situations where people could find this. And not only is it a really well told, explaining the adrenaline and the slowing down of time, and kudos to passing the time around.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
And really well done song. And I think you're gonna touch on this a little bit, but the guitar solo was really personified him taking action, or his racing thoughts with the guitar just shredding through and just going wild.
Not only that, but if you listen to the chords, the harmony behind the guitar, I think it was either a similar or same chord progression, but the chords are moving twice as fast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wasn't that really cool? So I love it. I love it when guitar solos have their own like section. Like in for AP3 retry, I particularly made it a point that I would like mostly every guitar solo, especially for the funk songs, like the one you guys listen to, has a completely different chord progression than the rest of the song. I'm like, why put a guitar solo in here if it's just going to be the same chords? But
Right.
they took it a step further. They then took that chord progression, continued it, and had an entire bridge. And I'm a big fan of bridge sections. They're probably my favorite section of songs. Probably like, I think of like Red Hot Chili Peppers. They have some of like the best bridges. And it's just like, wow, is this the chorus or the bridge? So it's just similar to that. It's just an epic bridge. Obviously, I love that a lot. And funny enough, I was hit by a car on Sunday, which I told you. And if I was on a motorcycle, I probably would be dead. So that's fun. But anyways, so like kind of relatable listening to the lyrics. I'm like, yeah, time really does slow down. And you look over at that guy that's running the stop sign, you make eye contact, and you're like, you were stopped a second ago, and now you're driving into my car, and that's not fun.
No,
but yeah, it was just like it's immediately I thought of that when looking at these lyrics. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
and for me as well, there was an incident where we had a snow blizzard. It was this 2016, 2015, and we were coming down to a stoplight on a hill with ice. And kudos to the workers that plow the roads, but this one wasn't very well done.
Oh.
And I stopped. I pressed the brake. I didn't slow down. And
oh boy,
I skidded down into the intersection, and thank God I had the intuition to turn my wheel so that way I was facing oncoming traffic, or so I wasn't being T-boned.
Yeah.
And it happened. I honked my horn and prepared for impact. I saw the guy coming towards me. I saw the fear in his eyes. I saw the fear in my own eyes, and time was just so slow, and then it happened like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
So, great song. On to the next one.
Oh wait, I had some music notes. I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't even get to some of my notes here. Okay, so sorry about that. So dynamic wise, I really liked how the choruses added. The chord progressions were similar, but slightly different. But the choruses added variation by adding more textures and extra guitars, extra the horns and stuff.
Low lines.
The groove was sick. Just a quick little thing. But then at the end, the polyphony between the violin and the saxophone both soloing at the same time. I love that. I think that kind of is the cacophony of a car crash. If you think
I
about
was gonna say that's one car, the other car, and then him in the middle.
Now, one biased thought.
Okay.
This is a bias. This is a personal opinion, and you can take it as a grain of salt or ignore it completely if you want. But I felt like there could have been more variation in the vocals between the verse and the chorus. I think the instruments did a good job of dynamics, but vocally, I was hearing a lot of the same note between those two sections, and that was the only thing that I was like. And it's because I'm a melody guy. Like I really like my melodies. I really like my music. So da 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 da. I'm hearing a lot of the same note, and the lyrics are really awesome, and I like that. But also, I do like that variation. So that's just once again a biased note. You can take it for a grain of salt or ignore it completely. I don't care.
I can agree with you, but on the level that it is catchy, but on the level of it being a story-driven context. It would make it more intriguing to the ear to listen in if you switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, or even added a harmony or something,
That, or if you just got quieter, or you settled in so people can hear, or intensified your voice to like an intense whisper almost, so that way you can really get the sense of this is something's happening here.
Yeah, and
everybody look around, look what's going down. Kind of thing going on there. So I'd agree with you, but
yeah, it was good, great
song,
overall.
great song,
yeah. Just once again,
pick.
Grain of salt. So
yeah,
cool. Let's do it.
Up next we have "Tell Me the Truth," because who wants to be lied to? And this is by Rascal Revival once again.
Crossroad, I've seen it before, again and again and some more. These are the things we give and take. These are the times and make or break. Tell me the truth, what do you see when you look at the world, when you look at me? Oh, tell me the truth, what do you see when you look at the world? Do you see free? Tell me the truth.
And that was Tell Me the Truth by Rascal Revival. What an interesting song. I've been noticing over the course of these songs that they really like using an offbeat chord changes. Like the bound to ground to get a bound to
Oh, that syncopation.
Yeah, the syncopation between the chord. I forget what the proper musical term for the harmonic progression, like rhythm. I forget what it's called. But that's just a nerdy
You mean
thing.
like when the chords change?
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
the harmonic. I think it's just the harmonic rhythm.
The harmonic rhythm, yeah. I've been noticing that across all the songs that they really like that offbeat syncopation. And but one thing I did notice in this case, it switched. It switched between that offbeat the offbeat chordal offbeat harmonic rhythm and into a very onbeat harmonic rhythm when Tell Me the Truth came on. It was very broken up when he was talking about all of the things. Tell me the truth. What do you see when you look at the world? When you look at me? That's kind of the chorus. But searching for truth once and for all. Who, what, when, and where. It's not our call. All of that stuff is really offbeat, really syncopated, really questioning where the beat is or where the rhythm is. And I really appreciate that. And this kind of also lyrically ties back into For the World. I feel it'd be a great song to tie in with that as a double single or something.
Maybe.
For sure. And so tell me the truth. What do you see when you look at the world? When you look at me, tell me the truth. What do you see when you look at the world? Do you see free? It's another going along the lines of this kind of meta narrative that I'm seeing as a breaking away from reality, checking back into reality really, and seeing what's actually there as opposed to what's being portrayed as truth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's lyrically definitely a lot of really really cool stuff going on. I like the reoccurring theme in the lyrics. I think that really just helps drive the point home. I like the whole like, okay, here's the statement, and then here's a variation, and then here's the statement, and then more variation. I think that it kind of it helps or builds a lot. I think that's really nice. Yeah. I think, and as far as the chords go, that really helps into the variation of the feel on the verse and the chorus, which is awesome. I think. Well, so I love rim knocks, so I'm just gonna say that rim knocks are great. So. More rim knocks in music, please. But so that and they sounded awesome. So they were mic'd well. But the bass line and the verse in particular, but just in general, was sick. I love that bass line. That was so cool. It was really melodic and had a lot of really cool stuff, but it still kind of rung in the
Shout out
feel.
Henry Devorick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Henry. Yeah, man. Oh,
really
dude,
great bass player.
Yeah, it was so melodic. And so good. The minor chord in the chorus, the third chord, I think it was 4, 5, 6. I couldn't tell for certain, but that 6th chord really adds a lot. I think that was cool. That minor chord was really good, and it hung on that minor chord for 2 measures.
Especially like Tell Me the Truth.
The truth, right on truth. It was just like, so that was really cool. The ambient bridge was awesome. I like bridges, and I think ambient bridges are great. Once again, grain of salt, but the one thing that I noticed that was like a little off-putting in certain sections was there were a lot. I love polyphony. I love different melodies, but there were sections in this song that I felt like it was a bit too much, a bit overwhelming. And I think for the song that's talking about getting hit by a car, it makes sense. But in this song, I was like, okay. And maybe you could think of it as different opinions, all like whatever,
like different lies,
opinion, ironically. But
you can picture like all the different lies, all the different narratives that are being told to you, as opposed to being the truth.
But there was a point where the guitar had the ostinato with the the continued line. The bass was playing a little less melodically than the other sections, but then it was like Barry sax, violin, and saxophone all at
All
the same
together.
time, and I was like, one of these should sustain or something, because it was like it just sounded the only time there was like a few moments where it sounded messy, and that's when I was like, okay, that's a bit much, So if you had all three playing, maybe like you could do it in post by like hearing specific lines and like, oh, I want to bring that out and bringing the other parts down, or like trade fours or trade twos, have different instruments trading off, so it doesn't get messy. Or like, I thought the violin and sax on their own were fine, but then when the Barry sax also started doing stuff, I was like, what is like happening? Like, this is crazy.
But even narratively, story driven wise, you can have them all start out really chaotic, kind of like that, and have one come in, drown out the rest. That's like the truth.
Oh yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah.
It's like a programmatic kind of thing.
Yeah, but even just musically, and that was like, I think it was after, it was near the end, it was before the last chorus, I think, and I was just like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
and if they were all playing like cohesive melodic lines that interacted, like then like some kind of counterpoint, it would
Yeah,
have
like
been something.
yeah.
But I think it was just
Yeah,
all
like a fugue or something.
improvisation. Yeah, I think it was just all kind of, and it was just like, whoa, and that was really cool in the, like I said, in the other song when the two instruments were going at it, but when it was three, I mean, and I like I said, I like layers and textures, but
There's a point
jeez.
where it becomes too much.
That, yeah, but and I mean, once again, that's
And
an
it's
opinion,
opinion,
so
yeah.
like I can't really, like, that's just how I feel about it, so it doesn't really matter. But I just wanted to mention that, and then you mentioned the panning, which is the only other weird thing.
Yeah, I caught that, and I was like, the acoustic guitar is really heavily panned in the right ear, for me, and I was like, that sound, it jars me, because acoustically, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically you want acoustic to be in the middle.
Yeah, any kind of rhythm section. And I mean, I mentioned this when we were listening to it again. I was like, oh well, like the only thing I could think is maybe they were trying to replicate like an on-stage situation where maybe the bass is over there and the guitar is over there, so you gotta,
Right.
But yeah, the electric guitar was jangly sounding, and that was in the left ear. And then the bass was in the right ear, and I was like, "What is like what like
Yeah,
the
'cause
bass?
bass needs
That
to be
should
in
be
the
right down the middle."
middle. Yeah.
So, and then the other thing was like, like if you balance it out. So there were parts when the guitar was in this year and the violin was in this year, but and that balanced it out. The violin, the treble of the
Yeah.
violin, kind of. But when you have two very different instruments, that is a bit weird. So I don't know if that was purposeful. I will say through the speakers, it was less jarring.
Yes. Yeah, through the speakers I couldn't tell, but once I had my headphones on, I was like, that's a little interesting.
Whoa, what is this? It was cool, but also like if you do that, I feel like if you had like, for example, a bass line and a Barry sax, and you pan those two, those kind of balance out, and then you have like you multi-track the rhythm part. You play the same part, but
Right.
two different times. Put one on the other side and one on this side,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
typically how
it kind of balances it out,
you
and
would
it
do
gives
it.
it that big sound.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a bit jarring. That was a bit weird. But I mean, once again, nitpicking, and
Yeah.
mixes are a whole art of their own. So it's kind of
Exactly.
like,
And we, RJ isn't here to defend himself or to say why they did that, because
Right.
I'm sure there's a reason. I'm because all the other songs have been panned. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder what would be.
If you guys are listening to this, mention in the comments below.
Yeah, absolutely.
why it was panned like that, and if it was just because, like I said, maybe it was a live band. Like, oh, we want to replicate what it might sound like live. Then that makes sense.
That makes it, because that's their whole point of the band, is to be
Exactly.
a great live band.
Yeah,
But
but it
then-
is weird.
Then again, I do question why a guitar and a bass would be on the opposite sides of each other.
It's weird. Like, kind of balance it out with like similar sounding, like even like the alto or soprano on one side and then the violin on the other, and that
It does make sense.
kind
Yeah.
of helps with the cacophony too. But anyways, cool. It was a really cool song.
Yeah, really good
so-
song. Really lyrically well done. And on to the next,
Yeah, let's do it.
which is Point of View. And RJ's original intention was to flutes. RJ's original intention for this song was to have a short intro, but he simply made it long to have a variety of things to choose from when they tracked. Then he forgot to tell anyone and ended up piecing together an incredible intro that he just simply couldn't touch. With that said, this is Point of View by Rascal Revival.
Way over the horizon while the moon tries to stay, keep the sun from rising. They push and pull, or are they unrelated? Funny how our point of view can become so sedated.
And that was Point of View. And what a interesting change from all the past three songs for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely more relaxed, more chilled, and also another great tie-in to the first few songs. The intro really reminded me of For the World, the intro to that, as if that intro for the World was cut off.
And brought back maybe.
And maybe brought back. Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
So like if this intro for this song, Point of View, was the starting intro for the World, and then they just cut off and said, nah, we're not gonna do that. And switch up the song. And that's kinda cool. I kinda really like that, because this song is very much also it kinda lyrically ties in with For the World as because you can never run away from your own point of view. You can look at anything from which angle you choose, but you can never look away from your own point of view. What a true statement that is.
Yeah,
a great reminder that we all have our biases, and we all have our influences, and we all have our nuances, and it is hard sometimes to get out of our own point of view, out of our own head, and see what other people are doing, seeing what other people are thinking, and coming to them to see what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I didn't feel like the intro was that long, so I don't know if you guys were gonna cut it. Like, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah,
it was like there and gone. I'm like, oh yeah, that was pretty. I don't know. I liked it. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
I don't think so either. I think it really fits the song as well, because it's very much a reflective song anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know what a shorter intro would look like, but I don't think I would have liked it.
Yeah. And there was a motif on the electric guitar with harmonics. It was kind of an ostinato. That part was really cool. And I liked how it reoccurred. It kind of brought everything back after the chorus sections. I like breathing in songs. So
Yes.
when you have like a whole chorus, it's like, okay, cool. Like, give me a minute. Like, okay, cool. Process it. We can go on. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. And I know you wrote in your notes the Latin groove on the drum, so the rim knock, and obviously the flute, which I wrote in all caps. That was the first thing I wrote. So no, it's just really cool. And if you listen to some of those violin parts that Caleb was playing, he was continuously going to the sixth of the chord with that kind of like salsa note, that kind of salsa vibe, but it had a very kind of bossa borrowed vibe. You could hear the clave on the drum. On the drum rim knocks, which is really cool. Obviously, I like that a lot. Yeah, definitely just a feel good groove. This song, like all the songs, and we talked about this before, feel very disconnected in the sense that they're like all by the same band, but all very different. This one was obviously very different as well, and had a very different groove, which is good if you want variety. So I think that
absolutely
that's really cool.
I did notice again that they had a little. I tried to pinpoint it. It sounded like a little bit of syncopation for the verses, and then really on beat on rhythmically in the chorus again. With a harmonic rhythm, which it seems to be a pattern of this group, which I really like. I really like when, because we all know the 4-chord songs that are just 4 chords forever and ever, amen.
Yeah.
And they have their place, but it's really nice to see a band play with their own harmonic progressions, and they're not afraid to put some random, seemingly unrelated harmonic progression into a song and make it fit.
Yeah, definitely. It feels very riff based. I feel like these songs are all written like RJ came up with a riff on the acoustic, and then like everybody kind of like riffed in, and then it became this whole like, okay, this song, like I think of like Grateful Dead and stuff like that, where it's like very riff driven. But in this case, it's very much like, okay, this riff is going to drive the song forward, and kind of we're going to use textures and dynamics to give the variation, which I like a lot.
I'd say that the flutes added a really nice texture of and well done playing. If I don't know,
Probably Eric.
Yeah.
Because flute is very similar to saxophone, believe it or not. I mean, the embouchure is totally different, but the fingering is the same. So
okay, that makes
probably
sense.
Eric. I think he plays flute. He plays a lot of stuff.
Whoever playing that flute, incredible job getting those particular sounds, the airiness and the kind of sounds.
It's that jazz sound, like, and that like prog 70s cool flute sound. Like it's so good.
Great textures, and I love the auxiliary percussion. I don't is it the washboard or something that the like the ratchet kind of sound.
Might have been in there.
Well,
I think he was just doing a snare roll, but I could be wrong.
It sounded like you were the washboard sound, like and the repeated. In the beginning
there's probably a shaker. Believe it or not, like a
like a kabasa.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably maybe something like that. But I really enjoyed that kind of really they kind of went back to their folky roots a little bit there. With the what did you think about the cacophony in the middle? That kind of struck me as a lot again.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. So the thing was, the guitar ostinato came back, and that became the basis for the solo. All right, opinions. This is biased. This is skewed. This is my own opinion. I feel like it would have been cool to hear a new chord progression for that section, even if it wasn't even the bridge, even if it was just like, this is the instrumental chord progression. I think that would have been nice, but I do like the ostinato a lot. So the only thing in that case is I wish Eric and Caleb would have played into the melody of that a bit more. Like, I feel like they were playing something that was different, and it could have been how it was recorded if it was done remotely. Maybe they recorded their solos before the ostinato was recorded there. But I felt like they were playing their own things, and they were both kind of playing their own things with each other. This is also more of a feel-good, easy song, more chilled, more laid back. So the cacophony might have been a bit much. So, I mean, I feel like in a live scenario, what they would probably do is they'd listen to each other and play off of each other.
Yeah.
But this might have been just how it was recorded. They might have, and Retry, the AP3 album I did, was recorded completely remotely as well. So I can kind of vibe with this a bit more. I did make the final decisions on everything, so I kind of wrapped everybody up like, hey, that's too much, or that's not enough, or do something different. And I'm kind of a crazy at that. But anyways, but like without that kind of control, without a producer sitting there and going, hey, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, it does get a bit much. And I think that in a live scenario, like I said, they could probably react a bit more to that. And also in a live scenario, I think there's more room for that. On a recording, it just sounds a bit messy. So like my advice would be, like, if you're going to use that tool again, I would just either kind of, you can use audio, you can bring up certain parts of the solos that you like and bring down the other parts. And I've done that before in the past. I record 3 solos and have them all interact, but bring up certain parts of each solo so that it sounds kind of interesting. But yeah, I think that would help a lot, especially for a song like this. Like I said, the car accident song, I think it was a fantastic use of that tool. I think that it worked really well in that song, and I think that it sounded really good. But the last 2 songs, I'm kind of like, that's a bit much. It is a bit much. And once again, grain of salt. This is a biased opinion. It's just what I think. So if you like it that way, and then that's fine. And I think that's your decision, and I think it sounds good in that sense. So, but yeah, from our perspective, and I mean, at least from my perspective, that's what I kind of feel. I wrote that as well. So it's really cool. I like Caleb and Eric a lot. I've worked with both of them, and they're fun people and great people to work with. So, but yeah, I think that's all I had for this song. Really cool song. Love the flute. Love the rim knocks. Love the Latin vibe.
And love the change of pace from the previous three songs. I mean, all of these have been unique in their own way, but it's still very much Rascal Revival. It sounds united.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to RJ on his voice and on the vocal effects that he's been using in these songs too.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
really
the
cool.
reverb and the switching it up. It's been really really pleasant. It's when I first listened to this, I was like, this is different. But and I'm not sure if I like it or not.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now
cool.
I'm with it. I'm grooving with it. I'm really appreciating all of the sounds and part of me wonders if they did a cacophony of sound in the second one. It was like, oh, maybe we should just add that to our
Maybe,
but
that
I
could
don't
be
know.
part of the sound that they're going for, and like I said, I respect it.
Yeah.
But also it's coming from a listener's perspective. It is a bit much.
Of a fresh listener's perspective as well. Yeah.
And there are ways of getting that without it sounding as messy. I know Rockmills is phenomenal, so I haven't recorded there personally, but just from a lot of friends I've heard they're great. So it's just kind of one of those things. I think that it might have been because it was recorded remotely, but maybe RJ coming in or somebody coming in and kind of going, hey, this is a bit much, and kind of shaping the sound. Like I said, you can do that in post and make it sound really good. I don't think it was as bad as the song before. I think the song before, it got really
messy,
chaotic with 3 different melodies and also all the rhythmic stuff happening and all the other instruments. I was like, what is happening? This song, it was like a bit much for the song.
Yeah, it seemed it didn't serve the song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think if the lines would have gone more with that motif, I've actually recorded stuff. It was an album I was producing a few years ago for a friend, where I recorded a guitar kind of ostinato line. I wouldn't consider it an ostinato. It was more like a little a motif or just a musical phrase that I was doing, and I was recording flute. And for a friend of mine, I'm like, you know what? The flute should double that, because you have those 2 textures, and then you get that sound, but it's very cohesive sounding. And maybe you don't want it to be that cohesive, but if the if the sax and the violin are improvising and they're listening to that do 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 do, maybe they go do 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 do, it's stuff like that. There's ways of improvising around the stuff that's happening that make it sound more cohesive. So that's what I would recommend. But once again, they could have just recorded the lines before the ostinato was recorded. You never know. It's crazy. It's crazy to kind of guess how stuff is recorded now, because there's a million ways to do it, and all of them are right. So but that would be my advice for if you're recording stuff in the future. But obviously that's a very small gripe, and
great, yeah,
grain of salt and opinions, yada yada.
I think so far this has been great, and I was gonna add on to that. Don't forget the power of doubling, because if you add a flute, if you double that a violin part with a flute, it gives it a more airy sound, or especially with a saxophone. Those are both 2 woodwind instruments.
Yeah.
In it, and you can double it with an electric guitar, and it sounds really cool as well. It's going to give it a really nice texture. So don't underestimate the power of doubling, and just
and cohesion.
Cohesion, right? Yeah. Not everything has to be And here's something I had to learn a lot when I was in music composition classes, was that things need space to breathe. Right. And you can't have multiple things going on at the same time, unless it's like a fugue where it's kind of the point. But there was none of that cohesion here. It didn't sound fugue-like. It sounded like everyone was given hey, make a solo off of this chord and go for it.
Yeah, and which is fine.
Which is fine. But
then you kept all of them, and it was like, what?
Yeah, it seemed like you kept all of them without intermingling or adjusting them to the thing. And of course, this is like we said, a very small gripe. Overall, I think this song was really well, but I do agree with you that the song would have been served better had there been more intentionality put into that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so Cool.
Last up on this EP, passing the time around, is the writing. So let's take a listen to that.
Growing herds, throwing words. Is it all connected? Webs of lies and colored eyes from the base erected. Caught red-handed, reprimanded with a slap on the wrist. Money talks and bullshit walks. Class has been dismissed.
And that was the writing. So what another unique song that perfectly ties this kind of album together. Kind of a really good send-off song for the album, talking about the political situation, talking about the class war going on in America over the generations from, and interesting writing. And I know you have something to say about this, about the singing.
Oh man, we're getting right into the assault.
Let's do that, yeah.
It's funny. No, once again, great assault. This one, and I was talking to Corey about it beforehand because I was like, oh, that makes more sense. But especially compared to the other ones, this one I felt like vocally, the melody, like I feel like vocally it was very speak sing, and this is a very personal thing. Like I personally don't like that sound. I think that when the note is like half there, it really bothers my ear. As a musician, I'm just like, what, like what?
So you don't like
Like,
neutral thirds?
I don't. Yeah, no.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. It just bugs me. So it's definitely just one of those things that's like a personal gripe. But I felt like the singing could have been more melodic. But Corey was talking about how it was written, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so a little blurb from RJ. This song was originally a spoken word poem that RJ had written as a writing exercise, and he liked it. He lost it, but then found it years later, and it was then that he decided to add the choruses that he did between the verses. You'll see that the end of each line is directly related to the first line of the next verse. For example, the first verse is, growing herds, throwing words, is it all connected? Webs of lies and covered eyes from the base erected. That last word following into foundations of the many nations, written by survivor stories told of days of old. The past was burned in fire, and then next comes from the ashes. Came the classes, and ending that with as they take from the nest, and caught red-handed, reprimanded, etc., etc., etc. It's really cool that kind of, and it's a really good writing technique as well. If you're writing for speeches and songs as well, is to connect the last word of the lyric or the paragraph, and somehow connect that into the first lyric or paragraph sentence of the next verse or paragraph of your speech. Really well done. And this is another protest song, another thing that someone has to say. He has something to say, and he's gonna say it. And really cool that this came out of a spoken word poem that he wrote, and a wildly different style from what we've been seeing in the past in terms of writing, but also in terms of music. What an incredible change. I'm sure you have more to say about that.
So yeah, this was a good example of like a good use of like blending and instruments. I felt like there was a lot of cohesion between all the different sounds. I also wanted to point out that whoever recorded the DJ scratches, I think it's an electric guitar, like the scraping the strings. But I heard that, and that was clever. It's a good.
I heard that. I heard that. And I wrote down like, DJ sounds long.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was
awesome. Yeah, I think it was a guitar, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Yeah. But no, that definitely added a lot to the sound. I thought that was cool. Yeah, there's great counterpoint between the different parts. So even in the part where the sax was soloing, the violin was doing little fills around it, and even the notes that they were hitting together sounded good and worked. And the Barry sax in the chorus, doing that line. I felt like that worked really well with the electric guitar. Stuff like that. It's the little things, but like it adds up when you have so many instruments. And I mean, this is obviously new because you guys, I guess, we're a trio, and now you're, 6 people. But these are things that you have to think about when you have so many instruments. It's like, who's gonna play when? Like, there may be a song where Eric just stands there for most of the song and plays the last chorus, and that's fine. Like, it has to be fine so that the song can have that impact. But that's part of using the orchestra that you have, using the band. Yeah, exactly. Instead of just like everybody play at the same time, it's like, whoa, So and there's obviously a place for that. So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I had a few other things. What was it?
I wanted to say, piggybacking off of the sounds, I did think another gripe of mine for this, that the cacophony of sound in the chorus kind of drowned out the vocal a little bit.
Yeah, that could be a mixed thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying. A little bit. I would have liked to hear the voice a little bit louder, but at the same time, and I don't know if this is purposeful, but I'll if there's a line, I'll connect it, and it's the chorus is, oh, it's hard to read the writing on the wall. The writing on the wall. There's no light. There's no light at all, and it kind of makes sense if it's a little drowned out to hear.
Yeah.
But that's just me connecting dots that I'm seeing. I don't know if they were intentionally put there, though.
It's kind of tough. The chorus was a really big sound as far as the instruments go. So I would say, like, I think part of the reason it got drowned out was the dynamic difference between the verse and the chorus, and the fact that the vocals were still that speak sting. He was kind of droning on that one note, and like rap is a good example. So I wanted to go back. I like poetry a lot. I like rap. I like this, but I think the uncanny valley of the in-between is where I have a problem with it. And once again, it's a very personal issue. Like, what was the band? Oh, the Talking Heads, and my bass player picks on me all the time. And I'm like, he's singing, but he's not. And it's like weird, and I don't like it. So very personal issue. But, what was I saying? Oh, right. Yeah. I think part of the reason it got drowned out was the fact that it was still that drony kind of like hanging on that note that speaks sing. What you can do is you can multi-layer the voice. If there is a melody there that you can sing, you can double the voice up the octave during the chorus to add that impact, and also to give the voice more frequencies so it's not fighting. Because that's a big band to be playing all at the same time and to be playing dynamically. However, I wouldn't change it because I like it. I think that the dynamics in the chorus are really well done. So if there's any small gripe, it would be like, and the speak sing could be purposeful, so I feel weird saying like do art differently. So maybe not that, but find a way to make the chorus punch a bit more so that it doesn't get lost in the dynamics of the rest of the instruments. Or you could tame down the instruments, but
I agree with you there. Like, because the wall of sound is great.
Yeah,
I just wish the vocals were just a little bit on top of it, as opposed to mixed in the crowd.
Yeah, and that could be a mixed thing, but I really think it's just no matter, like, you get to a certain point where if the vocals aren't punching through, no matter how loud they are in the mix, and so you get to that like crazy thing where the vocals are just, and then your mix, you have to turn everything else down. So and I'm not like, a big engineer or anything, but that's just what, that's a good point that you brought up. I did want to bring up, and this is definitely coincidence, but the beginning of this song and the groove sound exactly like my song Feeling Kind of Blue off of AP3. I mean, it's just borrowed from the same source probably, but anyways, I thought that was funny. And I love the ending. I thought the ending was great. Class is dismissed, so
yeah, right.
That's the end of the album. All right, go home, guys. It was awesome. I thought that was clever.
And it just ended abruptly too. It was just,
I love that. I
caught
love
red-handed, reprimanded with a slap on the wrist. Money talks, BS walks. Class has been dismissed.
I forgot to mention for the last song, it was kind of a fade out, but it was like a fade out for each instrument, and I like that. I don't like fade outs generally because I think that's
weird.
And it's not creative. It's just kind of like, oh, we're just gonna
out.
Keep looping it and then we'll fade it out or whatever. It's also a little outdated, but I thought that was well done in the last song, and I thought this ending having an abrupt ending is really well done too. So
yeah, and all around, really great album. I would say that as a whole piece, the only song that doesn't really fit together would be the second song. But all together, it's a great great 19-minute album. You can listen to this on your drive to work. It's really good. I highly recommend it. What would be your order, do you think, of songs on this list from 1 to 5?
Favorite to
Yeah.
man, I don't even know. Let me look at my notes. They're all good songs in their own right.
They are.
I have a problem ranking anything, honestly. Like even when people are like, "What's your favorite band?" I'm like, well, I don't know. Like what right now
It depends.
happens to be
Yeah,
these
right.
3 bands. Like I don't know what it's gonna be tomorrow. So it's kind of tough, but I thought, well, that's a very biased question. I
It
don't
is a
know.
very biased question,
I'm gonna give a biased answer.
and that's okay.
Well, I liked the overall as an overall song. Oh crap! But they had that really cool bridge.
I'll give my ranking real quick.
All right.
Number
yeah.
1 for me has to be the writing. I love the auxiliary percussion. I love the there's just the groove to it. It was really
Mhm.
great. For the World has to be next. And this is all subjective, and none of this really matters. Just like whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. So yeah, the writing, For the World, Point of View. I really like that intro. It was really nice and soothing. And Soon, and then Tell Me the Truth, only because the panning was really weird to listen to.
Mhm.
These are all really great songs in their individual on their own.
Yeah. I was gonna say one thing that I feel like as an album, and I don't think that was the intent with this thing. So
No.
just
Yeah, it doesn't.
and once again, grain of salt, like opinions, yada yada. So I think that there wasn't a lot of cohesion between the songs musically, and Corey and I were talking about this. Corey was like, "Oh, well, like," and I didn't get a chance to read the lyrics, so that was my problem. I listened to the music a lot, I didn't get a chance to read the lyrics. Like lyrically, there is a lot of cohesion, but musically, I felt like each song was kind of its own thing, which I didn't realize was purposeful because the band is like, hey, this is our new statement, and these are all like
All
you
the
don't
sounds
want
we can get.
yeah, you don't want to write an album that's your statement that's like all the songs sound the same.
Exactly.
So totally get that, but I feel like there could have been more cohesion, like borrowing different motifs and riffs from other songs, and maybe that could have been one of the variations for one of the bridges. Like you borrow the main riff of another song, and that's the bridge for this song. Like I love stuff like that. I think that really shows that an album is
It's an art.
really fully thought
Yeah.
out as an album. And I like to listen to albums. I'm not a single person. I like generally speaking, when someone's like hey, like what music do you like? I give them full albums. I'm like, Hand Cannot Erase by Steven Wilson. All these. I give you a full album because a song just doesn't get the point across. So I feel like that would be my only gripe as an album is they felt like 6 singles and not one album. But
5 singles.
Huh? 5 singles. My bad.
You're good.
I'm looking at 5 songs on my phone, and I said 6 for some reason. But I do like how it does cap off the ending. There's a beginning and end, which is kind of nice. It's just like the meat and potatoes in between is kind of like they're very much like meat, potato. There's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
there's no like
There was no
meat and potatoes chopped up and tossed in a bowl and cooked for a
Right.
day.
Yeah,
So.
I really do like the lyrically. I like the outline of this
Yeah.
of this album. For the World is a really great opener to the idea of what this album is kind of about lyrically. I don't know if they were going for a theme based album, but I really do believe that this all fits with the slight exception of Soon. But like I said during that, you could take that metaphorically any sort of way you want. For the World is a great opener. Absolutely states the point of the kind of the theme that we're going throughout the album. Soon is a great story driven of that. Hey, you got to do something about what's coming. You got to take action, or else you're going to get hit. Quite literally in this case.
Yeah.
Tell Me the Truth. It's about there are all of these narratives going around. You're trying to feed me. You're trying to sell me something that isn't true for your own gain, your own agenda, your own profit. Just tell me what's going on, man. I'm sick and tired of being fed all these lies. Point of View is a inverse of that. It's saying, oh, this is my point of view. It's hard to get away from. Maybe I need to work on learning someone else's point of view. It's hard to run away from my own bias. It's hard to run away from what I believe to be true. A great inverse of "Tell Me the Truth," which is, I don't know if that was intentional, but it's great. And ending off with the writing on the wall, a very in your face saying, "Hey, there is something that is there. We can't see it, but it's there, and we just need to shine a light on it." A great ending statement to for the world.
Mm-hmm.
A great, like we said, it's a great ending. It cuts it off really nice and sweet. It's a nice little bow wrapped up in 19 minutes. Great 5 songs, and like you said, the music is so unique. Each one has their own thing. I would say that the one connection that I did see was the syncopated chord harmonic rhythms, and they always seem to have the lyrics, the verses were always the syncopated versus the chorus, which were more on beat rhythmically. But as a statement piece, as this is Rascal Revival,
that's pretty cool.
This is a great debut album. Really excited to see what they have coming out in the future. I know they just released their single, "Put on Their Shoes." Be sure to listen to that. That is a song that RJ wrote with his daughter about.
I wrote notes on that one too.
Really? Yeah.
No.
But
next time.
next time for sure. Yeah, "Put Your Shoes On." It's a song written by RJ with his daughter about just getting ready for the day, and it surprisingly has a lot of philosophical analogies that you can make there. Please do check out all of his stuff. All of the links will be in the description below. Do you have anything more to say about this album as a whole, or?
No, I mean, I think it's great. All my gripes are very much personal, like just a grain of salt opinions. So like, I mean, overall, I think it's a phenomenal EP. I think I just want to emphasize that, like anything I said is like, I don't mean it in any offensive way. It's just kind of like my opinion, man.
This is all constructive criticism. We're all trying to make music out here.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's really great. So
I've got nothing bad to say about it. I would give this out of 10. I think I'd give it like a 7.5.
I was leaning towards an 8.
Really?
Despite having somehow more criticism than you or whatever. I think an 8. I think that this is a great statement. I think the few things that would have brought it up is more cohesion musically as an album, because like lyrically it is brought really well together. So that's the one thing. And then the only other thing, I don't gripe too much about the weird mix choices, because it's just like, it's weird. Like, how do you look at a piece of art and go, oh, that's wrong?
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to be
I don't know.
It's hard to scale art objectively.
But there were parts where there was undeniable cacophony that might have not been the most appropriate choice. So those were the only things that were like, for me personally, would have brought it to the next level. And I guess the speaks thing too, but I don't know if I can really consider that, because that's just a me thing. But I think dynamically, like you said, bringing that into that kind of makes more sense. But yeah, I think 8 out of 10. I think, it's great. I think, that the band is full of a lot of talented musicians, and clearly a phenomenal, talented songwriter too. So I think that's incredible. I'm definitely going to add it to my playlist on YouTube Music.
Absolutely.
# not sponsored.
Yeah, # not sponsored. We had a whole conversation about that. Well, hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure, if you want to submit your own music for your, we have a single review show as well, where we have reviewed singles from the local Lancaster group of musicians. And if you want your own album to be reviewed, that link will be in the description below. So be sure to check out that. Check out Rascal Revival, RJ, and all of the friends hanging out. They have some events coming up that I'm sure would be incredible, because like they said, their purpose as Rascal Revival is to be a great live band. So be sure to hear them live to really get a sense of who they are. And RJ's an incredible guy. All the people, all incredible musicians, all of them incredible musicians, and are definitely worth hearing in a live context. But if you have enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment what you thought about all of these songs or the album as a whole. And all of my links will be in the description below. Do be sure to check out our first ever event, the Story Awards, March 19th, 5 o'clock at Switchboard Studios. It is an award event that I've been putting on for the whole entire year of 2022. well, really April of 2022. That's when I started.
Yeah.
And so be sure to nominate your favorite bands, your favorite artists, your favorite songs over that, and come out to see a great night, good food. There's going to be the open bar, and we're going to have an hour jam session after all of the awards. So be sure to come out to there and, wail on whatever instrument you desire with a bunch of really cool people. It's going to be a great night for networking, and I'm really excited to put on that event. With all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.